So we're kind of back, and I can actually see the thing recording. Other day, Ted and I sat in the chair up and looked out, and we said, well, we're back, and we recorded. Well, guess what? I never pushed the record button. But I did today. So we're going to bring some geeky stuff in to present some of the fundamentals to you guys on the other side of this camera. Because we know that you plan to bring your friend up, your girlfriend, your daughter, your grandchildren, or your neighbor, and you're going to torture them, but you plan to teach them. But we know that you're going to torture them because we watch it day in and day out. Yeah. So we want to talk about the things that you should know and you should introduce them to before you bring them up to the mountain. Now, we know that you think you know how to teach somebody to snowboard, but we know after hundreds and hundreds of horror stories, people crying, people getting mad, people wanting to divorce their husband, people that want to get rid of their boyfriend, etc. It's just every time we go up to the mountain, those things exist. So in that realm, we're going to turn around and help save your relationships in your family, in your marriage, or whatever, if you'll just pay attention. And we can show you this, we can point it out. The unfortunate part is we can't make sure that you actually follow along with what we're going to say. So I'm going to shut this off. We'll move closer to the backboard and we'll keep talking. Ted is now standing at the top of a bunny hill, or the bottom. Let's say the bottom flatland, because none of you should have took your friends to the top of any bunny hill. So Ted is looking down the hill, which would be at me,
At you,
because
okay.
his snowboard is pointed towards me, the nose of the board. So directionality is one of the first things that you better understand about a snowboard. Where the nose is pointed is straight ahead somewhere. He's pointing at me, it's pointed at me. Where is your left side, Ted, of the snowboard? Okay, and that's his left hand. Isn't that interesting? Where's the right side of your snowboard? Look at that, the right hand went out there. So in that position, Ted is now aligned through the center of the board with his body with even weight on both feet, while looking in the direction of travel. Now what most of you will do and your friends will do is to help you see, they will turn your shoulders and your chest towards me. When you do that, you are loading the back foot and you will accelerate into the fall line where the board is pointed straight at me. Ted will not miss me if I was in the snow, and he will hit me with that board, and he will fall backwards on his butt or his belly, one of the two.
That hurt me.
So, to understand left and right better, which you could call heel and toe, don't confuse the people. Ted, step to the right side of your board. Now take that nose around you to the right until I see you again. What Ted is now doing is steering the board around his body in a toe side move. Isn't that amazing? And his foot was on the right. Did you notice that the circle went to the right? Wow, this is amazing. This is so scientific, guys. Ted is now going to step to the left side of the board and take, because he's going to step left, the board around him in a circle to the left. And this is what you should have your friends doing also on flat ground. Now, once they're looking at you again, you can ask them to push themselves on the board. Now, fundamentally, the body works best when you push from the heel side of the board. The older you are, the more you're in line with your front hip from pushing, and he won't move. But moving, he would move towards me, taking little skate steps, pushing the board and catching up. Now, he'll back up a little bit. So back the board up a little bit, which we'll never have you do outside. We always take it forward. Step on the other side of the board and leave it flat, because you would be skating. He has now forced himself to try to twist across his hip. It's very gimpy, and very hard to move. You will look more like Matt Dillon's deputy back in the 50s in the black and white movies going, "I'm a-coming, Marshall, I'm a-coming." And you will be hip-hopping along. It is tough. So you pick which is best for you. Younger riders will be able to push from the toe side because they got so much flexibility in their hips and knees and ankles that it's not a problem.
Point. The other thing that you'll see when somebody's on this side is they'll put the board down and you'll see it swing.
It's all over the place. It's all over the place.
And it's athletic.
It's fundamental of a misalignment of the direction of travel compared to the body and the tightness and tension.
This is way much better.
Right, okay. So once again, now Ted is standing on the board, and to continue with left and right instead of heel and toe, Ted will lean to his right.
I need some to lean.
Yeah, a little bit there. Notice that his heels are trying to elevate. Isn't that amazing? He leaned to the right and it tipped over, allowing him to follow that circle that was on the right. He's now going to lean his body a little bit more to the left. He's going to hold on to my mantle while he does it. Yeah. But what did that do? Oh, watch those feet. So flatten it, Ted. Flatten it, come back to flat. Tip those again. Come on,
there's no
tip
high
it.
backs on these.
There you go. Okay, so come back to flat. Your friends are going to tell you continuously, pick up your toes, pick up your toes. Well, you're better off picking your nose than trying to pick up your toes. What elevated Ted's toes was the inclination that he did with his body to the left. Now, he could have put his butt back a little more. Watch it. When the butt goes back a little more, the knees will come back a little more. And there are your toes being picked up.
Yes.
All right.
Don't throw this.
No. Now, that move he made there, that move that Ted made there, we will call that a break-in posture. Yeah. That is at the hips. So take the break and hold it. In the break position, the snowboard doesn't know which side he wants. No. His butt's hanging over, waiting for the toilet. His chest is hanging over because he wants to throw up. But he's lost posture, okay? Posture is a leverage that amplifies and works the ankles, knees, and hips, okay? So don't break. Okay, so we got that. The other thing, Ted, if you'll turn the snowboard till your belly button faces me, that'll be to your left. Bring it around. All right. In this position, put your foot on and pretend it was in the binding. Well, actually, step into that other binding real quick. You don't have to strap it up. Just step into it. Okay. In this position, if we drew a line through Ted's head down to the middle of that board, I guess you could call it, as Malcolm Moore says, the capital T upside down.
Plumb line.
Okay, but the capital T upside down. When I look at Ted, I now see a teepee with it pegged out on both sides of the ground there, coming up to the teepee top where his head is. So if the teepee tips to the wrong direction, which would be away from the fall line, which is back on his right leg, you can see the front of the board starting to lift, and you will accelerate. And remember what we showed you before, Ted was going to run me over. Again, Ted is going to run somebody over. An additional, do that one more time. Back. The board is going to pivot around that back foot. You're going to end up spinning and losing the line that you're trying to maintain. Yeah, so don't do that. Also, that is the hardest position to have a snowboard in and try to come down a hill, because you're trying to operate on that little tiny piece in between Ted's feet. That's critical. And so when Ted puts his head down to look at that spot, did you guys notice that his hips went back?